Hike your own hike. You probably figured out that this talk is not going to be about hiking. We're here today to discuss Heiko, balance. Our Indian scriptures call this Samathavam. Chapter 2, verse 48 of the Bhagavad Gita states, Samathavam yoga uchyate, which means balance is called yoga. Balance is the goal. If balance is the goal, then we must spend some time understanding what that means. What is balance? Is it spending 10 hours at work, followed by a few hours of gazing at the television? Is it 5 days in school, followed by 2 days with friends and family? Is it months of strain and stress, followed by a few weeks vacation? The question is it periods of stress and agitation, followed by periods of desperately trying to relax our minds? And we've gotten so desperate that we try anything nowadays. Drugs, alcohol, movies, yoga, meditation, skydiving. We're literally jumping out of planes to find enough enjoyment to balance the stress of our everyday lives. But even if we do find some way to let off steam, if we do find some way to relax our minds, have we found balance? If life is 50% bad and 50% good, is that something that we want? If life is 50% stressful and 50% enjoyable, is that something desirable? Is that something we should work towards? People often talk about a work-life balance. Balance is not to be found between work and life. Balance must be found in work for balance to be found in life. Balance is an internal state, a state of mental equanimity, of evenness, of quietude, of peace. This state has nothing to do with external circumstances. You could be at work, you could be at school, you could be with friends or family, you could even be jumping out of planes, and you could find balance. You could find Samathavam. It's easy to say this. Be calm, be cool, be composed, just let it go. It's easy to say, but it's difficult to do. How do we achieve this? How do we achieve balance in all situations? How do we achieve balance at all times? It's the same way that we achieve anything. Effort. We put in effort to learn many things. All the kids over here in school, they're putting in effort to learn math, to learn science, to learn art. We put in effort to learn how to drive. We put in effort to learn how to play an instrument. Everything in life requires effort, and so does living. That's something that we don't all understand. All learning has two parts to it. The first part, you gain knowledge. You do this either from a teacher, a textbook, a video, and then comes the more important part, putting that into practice. When it comes to life, we all take it for granted that we know how to live. We think that because we are living, we know how to live. Maybe you do know how to live, but perhaps if we experience agitations, if we experience stress, if we experience grief and anger, if we experience mental imbalance, then it's worth questioning that assumption. It's worth suspecting that there could be a different way to live. There could be a way that I could improve my life. There could be a way that I could improve my style of living. And how do we do that? We said we must learn. It starts with knowledge. What is the knowledge that we need to improve our lives? It is the knowledge of living. These are the laws and that guide all of life. These are the principles that guide the world, but more importantly, that guide the personality. Henry David Thoreau said, "Read not the times, read the eternities." What we're talking about is the eternities. We study the eternities not for school, not to impress other people, not to give speeches. We study the eternities to improve ourselves. We study the eternities to improve our lives. And where do you find these? Where do you find the eternities? That is the beauty. They are everywhere. They are splashed across everything. Literature, music, poetry, movies, WhatsApp forwards, TEDx videos. The eternities are in everything. But the most direct, the most clear, and systematic presentation of the eternities is in our Indian scriptures, is in the Vedas. But you don't have to study the Vedas, because like we said, it is in everything. The eternities does not belong to any particular school. It does not belong to any religion. It does not belong to any teacher. But you must want to find it. And that starts with that suspicion. Then maybe there's a better way to live. Today, we will talk about two principles that will help us find balance in work. The first is you must find your svadharma. Svadharma is a Sanskrit word which has two components. Sva, which means one's own, and dharma, which means nature. Find your svadharma means find your own nature. Every person sitting here has a unique nature, a unique set of tendencies, of interests, of talents. You must find that, because that is what you are designed to do. You must find that, and you must pursue it. There are a lot of young people over here in the audience probably deciding on what direction to take in life, on what to study, on what kind of job to get. The question is, how do you decide? Do you decide based on what will make the most money? Do you decide based on what everyone else is doing, what is cool? Do you decide based on what your parents want you to do? And that's a big one in our country, family pressure. We think that because my father's a businessman, I must do business. Because my mother is a doctor, I must study medicine. Perhaps, if you are interested in business, do business. If you're interested in medicine, do medicine. But don't do it because of external factors. Don't do it because someone else is telling you to. Sit with yourself, analyze yourself, understand your nature, and then forge your own path. For some of us, this is quite easy because our nature manifests early on. It's quite clear what we are. My sister is sitting here in the crowd today. She's an artist. She's been an artist from a very young age. She knew it, and all of us around her knew it. But for many of us, it's quite obscure. It's difficult to understand what we are. But the problem is that we spend so much time worrying about what we should do, about how we're going to make money, about what we're going to study, what kind of job we're going to get. We don't spend enough time doing what matters, which is understanding who we are. And that is where the effort needs to be. Like I said, my sister is an artist. That's not her profession. That is her being. And that she has made into her profession. That is what we must all do. We must understand what we are. Once we understand what we are, there are no questions as to what we must do. We know what we must do. We must follow our svadharma. There are two main benefits that come from this. The first is you will be successful and you will be prosperous. This is the field that you are interested in. This is the field you are inclined to work in, which means here you will be creative. You will be efficient. You will be productive. For that creativity, for that efficiency, for that productivity, you are rewarded with wealth. You are rewarded with success. More importantly, this is the field where you will find mental balance. This is where your entire personality will be engaged. This is where you will feel comfortable. Rather than looking for holidays or ways to escape work, you look forward to going there. You want to be there. You enjoy applying yourself in that area. And that is how you will find mental balance. I don't know why we often have this misconception that if I want to have a stable life, if I want to have a good income, then I must have a certain type of profession. I have to be a businessman or a lawyer or a doctor. But if we analyze who the most successful people are, who the most prosperous people are, they're not people who did what everyone else was doing. They're not people who did what they were supposed to do. They are people who followed their interests, who followed their passions, who followed their svadharma. And they applied themselves in those fields and created something beneficial for the world. That brings us to the second point. The second principle of finding mental balance in our work is you must work for something beyond your self-centered interest. Selfishness is the toppler of balance. I repeat, selfishness is the toppler of balance. And this is because it is a law. As long as one is selfish, one will be agitated. There is no getting around this. And as long as we are agitated, we will lose our mental equanimity. We will lose our evenness. We will lose our balance. This is the face of unselfishness. Unselfishness breeds positivity. It breeds kindness, empathy, harmony. Whereas this is the face of selfishness. It breeds anger, hatred, greed. A person experiencing these things cannot find balance. Selfishness will always trouble us. We will not be able to enjoy anything that we have because we will always be looking for the next thing. We will always be afraid that we might lose what we have. We won't be able to work well with other people. Selfishness creates all the problems for us. So now the question is, what is being unselfish? It's not complicated. You don't have to quit your jobs to go join an NGO. You don't have to build charities. You don't have to spend your weekends volunteering in a hospital or an animal shelter. Unselfishness has nothing to do with what you do. Unselfishness is about why you do what you do. We often have this misconception that unselfishness will benefit other people and we'll be left behind. What about us? We'll be sent to the dogs. But it's actually the opposite. When we are unselfish, we prosper in life. We move forward, and so does everyone else. We'll take the example of this event today. A person could have two different approaches. The first is a selfish approach. Organizing this event is going to look great on my CV. It'll help me get into a better college. It'll help me get a better job. The second is the unselfish approach. This event will be beneficial for my school. This will be beneficial for my community. The sharing of knowledge, the sharing of ideas has value for us as human beings. It is the person who has the unselfish approach that will find more mental balance. We now come back to hiking. Or we go all the way back to hiking. Hiking. So we said, Samathavam yoga uchyate. Balance is the goal. What we mean by balance is mental equanimity, mental evenness. We achieve this by finding balance in our work. To find balance in our work, there are two key principles. The first is you must find your svadharma. You must hike your own hike. You must trace your own path in life. Don't just do what everyone else is doing. Don't do what other people are telling you to do. This doesn't mean that you're dismissive. You don't reject what your parents say. You don't reject what your teachers say. You listen to them. They mean well. They have good insights. You take into account what they say. But at the end of the day, you must analyze for yourself what you are. You must analyze for yourself what you were made to do. And most importantly, you must analyze for yourself what you were made to give. Because no matter what you do, it will be in your best interest to be unselfish. Give to other people. Think about other people. Think about how you could benefit them, how you could serve them. At your workplace, don't think about how you can make more money for yourself. Don't think about how you can improve your reputation. Not that you should not make money, not that you should not have a good reputation, but that should not be the focus. Think about how you can help your co-workers, your peers. Think about how you can benefit your company. Think about how your company can benefit the world. That is what will take you far in life. That is what will help you find mental balance. That is what will help you find Samathavam. Thank you.